Okay, so before we specify, what do you want to debate? You want to debate Garo's galaxy level. So like, what do you want to debate in particular? Because that's kind of what you were defending mainly.
I mean, I was defending the point, but I don't really agree with the fact that Garo or Saitama's fucking galaxy. I was just disagreeing with the points that you made. Like, I think you could have argued them better. Like, I don't think it necessarily pushed the stars away or just teleported the stars away or what else you were arguing?
Okay, I get your point, but we need like a premise so we can
Premise.
obviously operate. Yeah. So what's your premise specifically?
What's my premise? I think. Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, Saitama galaxy level.
Okay. Let's see. Topic.
Alright, so should I start the recording now?
Give me a second. I've got to fucking do this shit. It's fucking annoying.
Alright.
Take like a minute.
Just let me know.
Jesus Christ. Oh shit, the wrong thing. Alright, boom.
Alright, so should I start the recording?
What is saying valid? Hold the fuck up.
Huh?
What happened? Hold up, being goofy.
See.
There you go.
Alright, so should I start now?
Yeah, you can start.
I bet I started.
Okay, so we're gonna be debating me versus Artkage. Topic is if Saitama is galaxy level. I don't think he is. Kage, you think he is. Obviously, you're for the position. Yeah, we can start. So, what do you think Saitama's galaxy level?
I think half of his energy was put into a beam that destroyed like fucking tons of stars that was galaxy level.
So you think half of his energy was put into an attack that was galaxy level?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, can you post the calc?
Post the calc? Yeah, I got you. Let me get it real quick.
Sure.
Let's see.
I want to clarify too as well. No excuses will be made. Like at the end of the debate, I hate when people do that shit. Like I want goes for me too. Like I don't do that at all. So I don't expect you to.
Yeah. Essence cancer. Yeah.
Scans. Boom. Okay. So, the same calc. Yes, the same calc isn't inherently. You posted a. Wait. Yeah, the phone one you posted is solar. You posted solar. Then the other one doesn't have an exponent in flow at all. It doesn't use kiloflow. It doesn't use anything.
Wait. What did you just say? Sorry.
The bottom one that you posted, which is from James Daly to copy him, there's no kiloflow, teraflow, or just flow in general to know how much energy is being exerted in TNT, which we need. And then even if you were to look at joules, you can't directly use joules. It would be GBE or it would be again flow because you need to be able to translate it into a metric. So it just says galaxy level plus. There's no metric. You can't have galaxy level plus joules. You can have an amount of energy in joules that exerted and translates to set amount, but you're just posting galaxy plus.
So basically, the joules in the scan or whatever, according to the wiki that James is using, in other words, it would translate to galaxy level. Like I'm confused what you're saying.
So according to the wiki James is using.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to set a guideline? Because I think that, like, for the most part, everyone uses, like, standard vowel assumption. Just, like, versatile. You want to set a guideline? How much it set?
I don't really agree with the versus battle wiki
On what part?
on the basically the whole tiering system. I don't agree with it.
You don't agree with the whole tiering system?
Well, not the whole tiering system, but a few of the
Then what
parts.
you not agree with specifically? See,
Yeah,
like when people claim stuff like they don't like versus battle wiki, like I claim I don't like versus battle wiki, but it's for certain things like how they represent characters. Like they generally will lowball characters or wank characters to fit their agenda, or blatantly lie about
yeah.
context of certain things. But they're tiering in their standard battle assumptions, which everyone uses, because you wouldn't even know the term multiversal plus or out of versal if it didn't come from versus battle. So you obviously are okay with using those because I'm pretty sure you know what an out of versal boundless character is.
I mean, yeah, but why? Just because I know of it, why does that mean I agree with it?
Yeah, so you don't agree a character can be out of versal or boundless?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay. So you don't agree characters can be multiversal?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Why? Why don't you agree with that?
Hmm? Because I don't agree with that tiering system.
So your logic for why you don't agree with something is because you don't agree with it. It's kind of circular. But
Yeah.
you're
No,
asking for
no. That's not what I'm arguing. My bad. I should have elaborated. Basically, I just don't agree with it because I think the versus battle wiki, at least for the AP and for basically the tiering system, I think it's just very inconsistent with what it does.
Well, how is it inconsistent?
Like as you said before, like they would just wing shit, take stuff out of context.
No,
So
that's not what I said. To what I
that's
said out of context.
that's
I said they do it specifically for characters on a basis that they'll directly downplay certain things or upplay characters, or they'll just withhold information. And that's
okay.
regarding characters that they tier. Like when they write a page, when they write a page like Naruto, and they had Naruto at relativistic for like 5 years, I disagree with that. I think that's retarded.
Yeah. So why would the tiering system in AP be consistent?
The tiering system is different because the tiering system and the stats that they use, like as it, like again, like not to like this isn't a flash or anything, but as a person who like spoke to VSB mods, the tiering system they use for their pages. Their problem is that they don't inherently accept it sometimes because it goes through a revisional process. So the revisional process for them to upgrade pages typically takes a couple of weeks or a couple of months, depending on how many people are pushing for the page or for the upgrade. And most of the time, most people don't care enough to push for the page or push for the upgrade. Also, it could just be that a mod on average doesn't agree with the way that something should be upgraded, but that doesn't contradict the tiering system itself and make the tiering bad. So you would have to show an example for how the tiering is bad. Like the only case for that is it's not even a bad case. It's inaccessible speed, and it's because like they took it away at a certain point in time, but it's only because the distinction between inaccessible and infinite is so insignificant. But that's not like again a contradiction in the tiering system, which is simply that they felt like it wasn't really that important. So there's no contradictions in the tiering unless you can point one out.
Okay. So you want me to point out a contradiction within the tiering system?
Like point out contradictions or why you would have a problem with it being universal, or in this case, why you have a problem with just it being solar system galaxy. Because in this case, it's just basic energy. Like you're trying to apply joules in terms of a galaxy level or attack potency, where we get attack potency from GBE or just a normal amount of value from TNT. Like that we put into a metric. Like joules, just like the amount of energy that something is exerted in joules, it typically falls apart at those ranges. It's just really, really, really extremely difficult to quantify, which we don't use. That's why we use it in an exponent or like a rule of metric. So it's completely different. But if you can give me like a bunch of contradictions or something that's wrong with the way that you define something to be the case, yeah, I'll wait for that.
Okay. Okay, I got you. Wait, hold up. Are we sitting what was it called? Bird number joiner or not?
I mean, again, I just standard battle assumptions. I just take like standard rules. It doesn't matter. In this case, we're not really debating characters. It's more so like, yeah, if you think I committed a fallacy or something, you can point it out. But that's about it. Like,
Okay.
Cookie is the best ice cream, guys. Just want you guys to know that.
It'll take.
Shut the fuck up, Delight. Okay, but would you agree with the fact that like our galaxy or not our fucking our solar system is like pretty average in size?
Our solar system is average in size.
Yeah, like it's about the normal average size usual solar system is. Do you not agree with that?
Um, Depends. I mean, like for instance, like our solar system in general. Like, okay, let me give an example for you. You know, the average star in our solar system is a red dwarf star.
It is. Can't.
Yeah, typically it's a red dwarf star.
Uh,
So like just based off of that, we typically just have smaller stars. So I don't even know why in this case it would have to be the case that we have like an average solar system. I think it just
wait.
depends.
Uh, I'm not aware of that. Can I see any evidence of that?
Oh, sure. Let me get it for you.
Okay, cool.
I wanna be. Okay. I posted in scan chat. Should be
Uh,
loading right now.
ugh,
Yeah,
dwarf.
but yeah, basically just talks about red dwarf, etc. Shows the sun. Stop typing in here, guys. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you might want to change the perms to it, to be honest.
Probably posting in tournament too, to be honest. I really want to. Yeah, tournament.
Yeah, I think you just do that.
Hold up. Um, can you post in tournament participants? I mean, in tournament scans. Art.
Me? Oh wait, what were we saying? Sorry, my
Can you
bad.
post in tournament scans?
Tournament scans. Post one tournament scans.
Can you post scans in there? Like, are you able to post
Oh,
pictures?
okay. One P. Oh, there you go. Okay. No, I can't.
You can't. Okay.
Uh,
1 second. Just make this speed up faster. Okay, can you now?
can I not listen? Tournament scans. No, I can't.
The fuck?
Yeah, it says done reading. Check out general.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Duh.
All right, so yeah, here's a scan. Red dwarf star basically just refers to the sun, as well as the fact that there's multiple to 50 to hundreds of stars like that are near the planet Earth or just within our solar system. And then the average star length between star to star is around 5 light years. So again, like our solar system inherently just has mostly red dwarf stars, typically.
Wait, you said our solar system?
Yeah, you said, would you agree? This stems from the initial claim where you're saying that you agree that our solar system is average compared to others.
There's red dwarfs in our solar system, or like, are you saying like in other solar systems?
No, I'm saying like within our area, like near our area, not
Oh,
inherently in it. I'm just saying like within our area. Like that's what in other solar system it depends. There's clusters, sometimes there's bigger stars. It depends.
okay. So you disagree with the fact that like our galaxy is an average in size, or like,
No, I think no. I'm just waiting for you to prove that. I don't inherently disagree with it. I'm just saying you haven't been able to prove it.
all right, okay. Yeah.
We have a reason to assume our galaxy is smaller based off the fact that we have typical smaller stars on average than other things. Which also makes sense because how we're able to just breathe and live or interact in general, like in the first place. If we had a bunch of beaming, bright ass stars in general, kind of make it hard for life to grow, for us to even function.
Okay.
Having sex with ice after this debate. What?
What?
Good. Can we get a pause on that?
No. No pause. No pause. Wait, no.
You have another argument, or you look for something?
No. Yeah, I was looking for something.
Okay. Who the fuck posted this shit? I seen this shit in chat, bro.
Okay. So, would you say there's a difference between like I don't really care about our solar system being average on size anymore. You would think that there's a difference between 4C and 4B, that being star and solar system level?
4C and 4B, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a difference between them, obviously.
Okay. Like there's a huge difference, and you're aware that a star on average takes up like 99.86% of all fucking solar systems.
Depends, but yeah, sure. What is this argument going to?
Okay. It goes into the fact that like it's just obviously fucking inconsistent because don't you think if like a nine fucking what's the fuck is it a sun, if it takes 99.86% of like the mass of an entire solar system, it would be a lot easier to just okay. So what I'm saying is since a sun takes up most of the mass in the solar system, right? It
Okay.
would just okay. There would be like not that much of a difference between destroying a solar system and destroying a star.
Oh, okay. I get what this argument is going. Yeah. Yeah. So this argument is horrible for a lot of reasons. So, do you know
Uh,
what a star is made out of?
it's made out of hydrogen gas and shit like that, right? Yeah.
Hydrogen and helium, correct. So as a star gets to its ending of its life, or when it turns into a supernova and explodes, the energy that it releases is typically greater because it expands, as well as the fact that it's multiple atoms and molecules bouncing around to create like a type of nuclear fission almost.
It gets bigger. Yeah, I think it'd get
Yeah,
bigger.
so a supernova in general, or just wait, sis, you disconnect, bro. Fuck, fat motherfucker. Fortnite move. Give me a second. I'm gonna wait for him.
All right.
Do. Yo,
Yo.
I see you. I see you. I see you. Six. Holy shit.
Yeah, my shit cut off for a second. Yeah,
I'm gonna repeat myself.
this
Okay.
is
Yeah,
horrible.
basically what I was on is talking about how like there's a difference because like the energy, like even if you argue that a star, in this case the red dwarf, the sun makes up the majority of the solar system, it's different in energy because obviously as it becomes a supernova and it expands and the atoms start to collide to each other as well as the elements and the molecules within it, it adds to a more cohesive explosion, so much the likes of nuclear fission. And then you have the fact that you have to overcome the GB of the star, and there's also things that go into like Roche limit, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just completely different than just like destroying a solar system, which is comprised of a couple of planets rotating the star in this case. So that's why there's like an astronomical difference because it goes into overwhelming the GB of the star as well as the planets at the same time and overcome that gravitational binding energy.
Okay.
So,
So yeah,
yeah.
mm, are you talking to year six?
You.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I agree with the fact that I think like when a star explodes, I think it gets bigger.
Yeah, so the words there's no contradictions in the VSB like tiering system like nearly really.
Why? I don't
You
get how
haven't
to.
been able to show them. Like that's why I asked you to, and you haven't been
Oh,
able to substantiate why there is. 'Cause that's what you've been on for like the last 10 minutes.
so you want me to like?
I want you to show the contradictions in the tiering system, not
Okay.
inherently in the characters or the pages, because the characters in the pages are completely revision based and they go up into moderation. And if they're using the rules right, not the rules itself. So the rules in the tiers have no inherent problem, which is why everyone uses them typically, or they use standard battle assumptions. So unless you can find problems in the rules, then we would have an issue where we have multiple contradictions. But you don't really have a problem in the rules. It sounds like at least you haven't pointed out a problem. Just sounds like you're trying to appeal to another wiki to fit your argument, but you need to
No.
actually show why something is the case.
Okay. So wait, you brought up the fact that a star explodes, or when a star explodes, it gets bigger. I don't get how that like is relevant to what I'm saying. Like I said, like I don't.
Your argument was saying that okay, a star makes up the majority of the solar system.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why is there such an astronomical difference between a star and solar system level? And then I said, because you have to overcome the gravitational binding energy of not just the star in this case, or the red dwarf or the sun, you have to overcome the gravitational binding energy of the planets and everything around it because it circles the sun as a celestial body. So you're overcoming all of that GBE at the same time, collapsing or destroying said solar system. That's why it's completely different than just destroying a star, a dwarf star, or just a star in general. Completely different.
Okay. So
So what?
so I'm thinking.
Okay.
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 Okay. So okay. I'll find like a. I mean, oh, we're gonna. Uh. Chris, I have a question.
Sure.
On average, like, what would you say the gravitational binding is of the star, or like, do you have a quantification for that? Like, it's just a question.
Wait, who's talking right now?
Like me, Artkage.
Oh, okay. The gravitational binding energy of the sun, I think it's like, it's like 37.5 kg. 34, yeah, it's like 37.5 mj slash kg. I can get it for you too as well.
Yeah, if you could, because like I get yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like, there's a gravitational binding, but like I don't
Yeah,
really.
it's like overcoming. Imagine overcoming a mass and then overcoming the energy and the gravity that encompasses said mass and lifts that mass up, etc., etc. Completely different. So the entirety of the energy and the GB that holds the solar system together and makes planets rotate and spin around the celestial body versus just destroying the celestial body is completely different.
What do you mean by like overcoming the gravitational binding?
Okay,
Like
GBE, gravitational binding energy. Do you know what gravitational binding energy is?
uh, explain it so I can confirm.
Gravitational binding energy is essentially it's like the binding energy of a system with a minimal amount of energy that must be added in order for the system to cease being a gravitational bound state. So essentially what it is, it's like we have gravitational potential energy, which is the sum of energy, how its parts are completely separated or what keeps it like the system together, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have like certain spheres that have a certain amount of density or within a formula like it's like U equals 3gm to the second over 5r, where r is like the radius showing a gravitational constant. And in this case, you have to figure out how you can overcome the amount of energy that holds a mass up with a certain amount of destiny. I mean, the not destiny, density. But yeah, that's essentially what gravitational binding energy is. It's just the energy that keeps something with mass up.
Okay, so what are you like? I don't really. Okay, so would it like provide more mass? Is that what?
No, it just has a certain amount of energy around said object. So it's like
So
imagine the Earth. Let's say this isn't completely accurate because I can't even remember how many pounds it weighs off the top of my head.
that's fine.
Let's just say you have an object. You have a spear. The spear is 1,000 pounds, and then you have gravitational binding energy that keeps that thing up. You have it separating or pushing off of or repelling against other objects to keep it within status of each other. Otherwise, it would just massively collide or break apart or smash into each other because the distance between like Earth and Jupiter, for instance, it changes and shifts every year because it rotates around the sun at an axis. Like you have a case where Jupiter's 440.17 billion miles away from the Earth, and then you have times where Jupiter is only like 430 million miles. Sometimes it's 410 million miles. It just depends. So the gravitational energy shifts, it dissipates, it pushes, it repels, it swings like a pendulum. And by overwhelming that force of it inherently is more than just destroying said planet or same sphere. So it's completely different.
Okay. So like once again, do you know fucking how much on average it would take? Because like as you said, like it was an astronomical difference between like star level and fucking.
Well, I didn't say it was astronomical.
You did.
It's a
You did.
big. I said it's a big. I said it's a big difference. I don't know if I
You
said
said exactly.
astronomical specifically.
You,
Even if
I
I
heard.
did, it doesn't. Yeah, even if I did, it doesn't really change anything. Like on
Well,
average, just be a big
yeah,
difference.
there's still be a big difference, but like
Yeah.
if you could you maybe quantify the fucking gravitational binding?
Yeah, I can give you the difference between stars, like in solar system. Sure, it's not hard. Formula real quick. Darkness.
Kruos is getting texted by all of his side hoes.
Oh, you can hear that shit?
Yeah.
Six is trying to ask me to send a nude or something, bro. Bro's obsessed.
That was me.
Yeah.
We saw it? Oh no, I thought that was phased.
Yeah. So yeah, for example, the sun has 164.19 tenatons of GBE. Mercury has 436.86 exatons of GBE, and then the diameter of Mercury is only 4,879.4 kilometers. And then you have the volume and the mass, which is nowhere near that. So the amount of gravitational binding energy that holds the moon or holds Venus or holds the sun is completely different than the planet or celestial body itself. So it's the planet and celestial body plus the GBE of the planet or celestial body.
Okay. So okay. How much energy would it take to like overcome that? Because as you did, it's still a huge difference.
I mean, yeah, like even okay. So look at it like this, right? You
Yeah.
have a star. Let me see. Hold on. So pull this out. Boop. Oh. Give you an accurate answer. No. No. It's annoying. Where did I put it? I just do it this way. It's easier. Do it myself.
I still need some help. What are you looking for?
Huh?
Do you want some help? Are you looking for something?
Bro. I'm like, bro, who the fuck is talking? Bro, you just creeped the fuck out. Looked at your profile. I recognized it was you. Like, what the fuck? No, I'm just getting the gravitational binding energy for the solar system. I'm gonna get it. Give me a second, or I just do it myself.
I don't think there is. That's why you use the inverse square law, because there isn't one.
No. That's not what I'm talking about though. I'm talking about like you can take the GB of the planets, you take the GB of the sun, but then you can use inverse square law depending on if you want to take them all collectively. But it's completely different, again, than what you normally would use. So I'm pulling it out in a second. Put it. There you go. That's what I want.
I love you.
Love you too, babe.
What, bro?
What's the matter?
Nothing.
You never say that to me, Kruos. SMH.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, difference already. You have 5.59 to end to a low end ratio, and then the energy in joules to dissipate a star is you have 5.693 times 10 to the 41st. And the difference between that and the solar system is, well, yeah, again, it's astronomical. It's 2.2277 times 10 to the 45th. And that's because you have to calculate it in terafolds. And there's multiple folds that even go into a terafold, while a single star only takes a certain amount of tenatons, which is nowhere near a fold in level. And obviously, taking into account the gravitational binding energy of multiple planets, as well as the spaces in between the planets and the sun and the celestial body, et cetera, et cetera. So there's your quantification.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like a 5,000 times difference.
On average,
Around 3,500. Yeah, on average.
not about that.
10 times the foe. Yeah.
Oh, you talking 10 times the fall? I'm talking about 10
Yeah.
times the fucking like terrible.
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, it's like millions. It's like hundred.
Yeah, like that's when the rate it gets like crazy. Like, cause like planetary to star is like nothing too crazy. When you get to like star to solar, that's when it gets like fucking massive. But or star to multi-solar. But yeah, continue, Art.
Okay. Okay.
Based off what I've seen, there's nothing really that would incite me to even look at this calc, or like for this calc to be like somewhat viable. That's why this.
Let's see. What the fuck?
Yeah, because even if you use if I go with what James put, where you put 5.8 forward TNT, even if you use what's it called, you put 5.8 forward into star, you would be slightly under large star level at high goal. Because large star goes all the way up to 22.77 foe, so you're considerably less than the highest largest star count.
Okay.
So it's nowhere near solar system. Which was kind of my point in the general area, completely different. But I've like apparently there's like a different site people use to like weighing characters. Then they put them at like high astronomical values or numerical values on like their website, and then on VSB or character stats it translates to something in like unimpressive, entirely, which makes sense why they would want to do that. But no.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
So do you have any more arguments, or are we wrapping it up? What's up?
I'm thinking. So, wait, I'm confused. What were we all talking about? Like with the 5,000 different shit. Like, what was that about?
He's talking about the difference between a star and what's it called? What was it? Trying to figure out the difference between a star and the solar system, Dream?
What'd you say?
When you asked me the 5,000 different question, were you trying to figure out the difference between a star and a solar system?
Yeah, 10 times the foe. Yeah, it's like star to solar
Yeah,
system.
It's not fucking what's it called though? Like the difference between a star and a solar system at a high end, which is again
I was not asking high. I was based on stuff. Yeah.
No,
I
talking
was
to
fucking
art.
huge.
Talking to art,
Yeah.
because he asked the question like, "What were we discussing?"
Yeah,
like
like
the difference between a star like in tenatons to foe, it would be like 5,000 of times to even equally foe, and then you have a star, large star, which goes into it, and then even if we added one foe, one foe is significantly less than 22.77 foe. And even if we add 10 foe, which is what James used, it's nowhere near solar system at all. It's like a huge difference. Things like millions or something. It's nowhere near solar system. It's only large star at best, which is consistent with the rest of the verse. And you have Tatsumaki with large planetary, small planetary calcs, et cetera, et cetera. So
Wait. So you think the first like thing that James the low ball or whatever, you think that's star level according to the versus battle wiki?
which one? Let me see. Let me go back up. I fucking
I
saved.
I'm putting tournaments. I got
I found it.
oh okay. I mean I
Yeah,
put
he's
it
5.0. Yeah, he put 5.8 foe TNT. And I even think that was a low ball to be honest. Yeah, he even used radar stars. Hey, you got some right. Give him credit, I guess. Yeah, he used 5.8 foes, nowhere near solar system at all. And then he did Galaxy level plus, but he never translated it in TNT or he never put the GB there at all. Just said like the jewels. But I mean, I guess you could take him doing switching the formula out. But then he did a 4U and then he put a parenthesis ERBR to the second equals that. Yeah, I don't even know where like he gets the formula from. So I even put in my recent video like a question like the formula inherently doesn't even explain that.
hmm? Isn't that the inverse square
It's
law
like
formula for it? Isn't that the inverse square formula law? Or
no, not the four.
The one he uses for solar system is the inverse square law.
for
Yeah. No, I'll post it in tournament scans so you have a clear idea what I'm talking about instead of like word of mouth.
Hmm.
Yeah, so right here, you have 5.8 fold TNT, and
yeah.
then he puts what about inverse square law, and then he gets Galaxy plus.
So wait, that's not the inverse square law?
For the beginning, it doesn't look like it. Unless he
But
was, but I don't know why he would type it twice and say, "What about it?" Despite using something completely different before. Yeah, he transitioned in phone and TNT before, so yeah, I don't know. It's just not making sense. It's a lot of issues here.
hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So the 4U ER, yeah. But then he put what about inverse square law, and then he continued to get Galaxy plus, which again made no sense. That's the part that throws me off. Dream.
I can get you another calc if that'd be fine.
I mean, you can use another calc if you want. I don't really think it changes anything. There's like a big, massive part that like I think there's like a limit to how high I think the calc gets consistently. But that's not impressive when you actually think about the feat itself and why like he doesn't even scale to even if you get it to the highest limit, which I'll explain if you even get there.
I mean, you could explain right now if that'd be cool.
Oh, sure, yeah. So I don't even think that the highest I think it even gets to consistently. I don't see a reason why it would be above like large star. And then I think that there's solar system like high ends. And I don't even really agree with them. But like, let's say you did all that stuff and you granted it. I think the feed is divided by three. So I don't think it's divided by two between just Saitama and Garo. I think it's divided by Saitama, Garo, and Blast because Blast's hyperspace gates do have mass because in the same chapter he picks them up. So they have to have a set amount of energy. And the energy that Blast was outputting to be able to contain the explosion, he wasn't able to do it permanently, correct? Because they amped him to allow him to revert it. So it'd be like Blast. It's actually more than actually it's a severe low ball. But it's because Blast was able to somewhat contain it for a period of time before being overwhelmed. Then people amped him, added energy to allow him to redivert the blast. So then you have all these energies pouring in, plus Saitama and Garo's energy, and you have a huge explosion and a collision between all those energies, which sends them and knocks them back across the solar system to Jupiter, which is like 440 million miles away. So you have all these energies that are colliding. It's not just their initial energy. And then I guess you could say like, oh, Saitama scales to the energy somewhat because he tanked it, but then it doesn't really work because for you to even get his durability, you would have to have the point of impact. And you can't really say where he was impacted at because he got knocked by it. And it could have been through the drop off, it could have been for the initial contact. We don't know, it's too vague, which is the entire point of why I'm not arguing it despite me being the person who always stands Saitama and like says he's a large planetary star, et cetera, et cetera. Like the feed's just too vague and there's too many room for different interpretations and set interpretations.
Okay. So wait, hold up. You said the fucking like the blast containing shit. It has mass, so it would add more
Yeah.
mass. Why?
Well,
Okay.
it wouldn't necessarily add more initially. It's the collision. Do you know the same panel you posted where it says boom?
Yeah.
The boom is the explosion of the mass finally exploding and letting out, which is why you
Uh,
see the explosion of impact happen. So
I
it
don't
was
think
an
that happened.
you said what?
It go and the beam went out, and then like after like fucking two panels of it going out, it said boom.
Okay. So you
Wait,
think the boom came afterwards?
it did. I can get you a panel if you want.
Okay. So what do you when you calc this, when you okay, sure, it doesn't change it if you do it makes it worse for you. I like the reason why is because if you take the boom is what people are using because you have to figure out if it's vaporization or you have to figure out how much force is being exerted. If you take the boom into account and you look at it being contained, the energy from blast's portals, just as hypergates has energy inherently. So even if you think he was somewhat contained and it was bouncing around in his hyperspace gate before it was let out, there was still energy that was added to the mix.
Wait, I don't. From containing it, like I don't get that.
He makes the biggest hyperspace gate we've ever seen. Like even Garo, who imitates it on Jupiter's moon, like Io, doesn't even make a hyperspace gate that big at all. He makes the biggest one we've ever seen. We see energy surging from it, and then he also reacts in like a split second before like Garo and Saitama can punch, which is honestly a really good speed feat. But he
Yeah.
reacts before they can punch, and then he throws the energy into that, and then you have the energy essentially colliding because he's attempting to restrain them for a while. You remember when he says he wants to try to contain it, then he realizes that oh okay, I'm probably not going to be able to do this. He's being strained, and then that's when his like Akatsuki jump in, and they're like, okay, here's an energy I could redirect it at best. That's when that statement comes in. So for that time period before he was containing it, and when this group jumps in, there's a set amount of time that takes place where that energy is just within the portal being held and contained. So you don't even have the time duration. So for us to even calculate or figure out inverse square law here, or just anything to be able to calculate the feed, we don't have the time. We don't have displacement. We don't have displacement. We don't have the initial start value. We don't have the escape value. All you can do at best is like anxize the whole, and then anxizing the whole without these things in perspective or how much time plays is just like really, really fallacious. Then you have to start throwing numbers or like saying the average dialogue between two people is so and so and so, then try to get a calc off of that is just incredibly fallacious.
Okay. Wait, hold up. Let me go check out the chapter. Wait, okay, wait, hold it. You so
I have the whole chapter downloaded. I can just post whatever you want.
I mean, I don't know.
I'll post all the scans actually right now. Fuck it.
Yeah, if you could just do that, try to do it, chronologically.
Discord needs to add a multi-pick feature. You could fucking like just tap on your phone, like tap 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 tap, and send them all. Be fucking fire.
Why, so you can send all your nudes to 6?
Bro, can you imagine how fast I can send like my dick pic to like
Bro, what the
Dream? Holy shit.
Okay, buddy.
Press it.
W.
So where is it? Mm-hmm. Well, hold the fuck up. Oh shit. Say the wrong thing. Almost sent something by accident in chat. About to get a little freaky here. There you go. There you go, babe.
Bro.
Boom, right here.
In scans or
thing. He reacts.
Oh.
Then I'll get the other panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. This. Yeah. This is fist between this. Serious punch squared. Boom. This is what I'm talking about. This is where it's being contained. Being contained above the atmosphere for a short amount of time before it explodes.
Is that a temporal gate though?
It's not a temporal, it's hyperspace, but yeah, it's hyperspace.
Oh, I mean, yeah, shit, same thing. It's hyperspace. When it didn't, so it is a hyperspace gate, right?
Yeah. You know, argue it's like 40 or some shit.
No. I don't fucking agree with that at all.
Okay. I was kind of hoping you did. I was fucking already had some shit for that.
Nah, bro. Shit. Okay. Uh. You
You can
can't.
see it right there. So yeah,
Oh.
that's it all being contained. You see the beams, explosions, etc., etc.
The vector of.
Then it turns into this. So it merges. It merges with it. And then you have this big beam of explosion that comes from the merged state of Saitama, Garos, and hyperspace. And it fucking launches. And we've already seen that lightning when he initially opened his hyperspace in the first place.
Wait. Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with all this, but I'm still very confused on like how because you said since the hyperspace was there or the hyperspace gate or whatever the fuck
Are
it's
you, are
called.
you confused on what I'm arguing specifically? Because I can summarize it for you if you want.
Yeah, if you could do that, like I don't
Yeah,
like.
sure. The argument inherently is that because you wanted to know ahead of time. I said that I would save it if you even got there, but you want to know ahead. But
Yeah.
regardless of the point, is that even if you took it at a high end, because I told you I think it's large star. If you take it at a high end, I think it's solar at best.
Mhm.
And even if you did that, I think it's divided by three because it's the power of Saitama, Garo, and Blast. But I really lowballed it because it's not just the power of Saitama, Garo, and Blast. It's the power of Saitama, Garo, Blast, plus um, what's it called? All these unquantifiable members who are able to somewhat help them direct it, like redirect the attack. And we don't really know how strong they are, so it's not really quantifiable in that case. But we do
Yeah.
know that Blast was able to react as well as contend with Garo before the fight. And he didn't really exercise any care. In fact, he's implied to be holding back while he fights Garo because he's worried about the protection of the Earth. And like the entire fight, he's like being really cautious on what he does specifically.
Uh huh. Yeah.
So you have a
So
character who's like relative to them. So you have like divided by three. And then you have these external forces as well, which we don't know about. But regardless of the fact, no one really scales to this. You can't even prove where exactly Saitama and Garo get hit from the explosion. You don't have D over T. You don't have the distance from Saitama and the explosion or Garo and the explosion. You don't have the time frame for when it took place or how much energy was replaced with any single set in or output. The dispersion, the displacement. There's just so many factors that you can't,
we
say.
sort of have a minimum distance.
Hmm?
We sort of do have a minimum distance.
Yeah, you can say it's within this epicenter. Like you could take the blast and say they have to be somewhere within the epicenter. If that's where the hyperspace gate took them, and that's where the explosion happened. But then you
Ooh.
can't say the time frame of when it took place, which is needed to see how much energy is being exerted within a single time.
Well, no, I'm more or less saying right. You know how I'm not sure if you agree with this, but like if from my interpretation, you know how like the beam or whatever it destroyed all those stars.
Sure.
Okay, so since we see
I don't. Yeah, but sure. Yeah.
yeah, but since we see no visible light, the only logical assumption that we can make is it destroyed all of the stars that is visible to us. And I think like I'm not sure on the exact measurement, but like the furthest we can CSR or whatever, like how we see stars like the furthest I don't fucking know. It's like 200 fucking light years or some shit like that. So we can.
Five. I said it earlier. It's 5 light years. 5 light years between the average distance between the doors, like stars in general.
Well, no. I'm saying that from what we can see from Earth, like we can
What do you
see.
mean?
Here, I can get you. I can just send a screenshot. I
You
don't
talking about
really.
the sun in particular?
No. I'm saying like we can see stars that are like
Yeah, that's
200
because they
light.
illuminate that far from 5 light years away. They're just that bright.
So every single star we see is 5 light years away
The
max.
average star, yes, between each other are 5 light years. The sun is the only one that's close to the Earth.
Okay.
That's why the feat that people are worried about isn't even really that impressive. What's impressive is the speed feat for traveling. That's the impressive part if you think it destroyed it. Cause it'd be like I think I saw about it yesterday or like in this other shit I'm in. I think it was like an MFTO feed or FTO plus feed or some shit.
Wait, who's on ATL?
No, I'm talking about the beam traveling that distance if you think it was destroyed. But I don't inherently think it was destroyed. I think it's too vague. That's why I just don't agree with the calc in general, just the feed in general. There's so many issues. Them scaling to it, the calc not even being solar system or galaxy. Then there's the whole like why stars are appearing in the same general direction if it's within 5 light years, what you put in your video, and that's why it's like it's kind of a straw man. You feel like responding because within 5 light years of a star, if they destroy like that general area, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they destroy that general area, and Jupiter is within this general area. Jupiter is 440 million. It's not my fault. It's not 440 million. It's 440.17 million miles away from the Earth. Then you have stars within that distance, right? That supposedly get negated all around in a circle epicenter within that radius, right? They're 5 light years away from each other. That means when they go to Jupiter or Io, the moon of Jupiter, there should be no stars in that area whatsoever. There should be not a single fucking star. Because if stars are 5 light years away from each other, and we see this cluster fuck, and you're gonna argue that it's like Kediscoro, or it's like a certain perspective that they're highlighting, we see the entire perspective of Io, the entire perspective of Jupiter. We have all these things within motion, and we shouldn't see stars in this general area of 5 light years, and Jupiter is within this distance because they get knocked away, right?
I disagree with that.
Okay, you think they get teleported?
No, I think they're just destroyed because, like, within the context, right? Like, I'm pretty sure.
No. Okay, you misunderstood my question. I'm
Oh.
saying they get knocked away. I'm referring to Saitama and Gaara.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were talking about Star. Yeah.
How are you disagreeing? Yeah, so Saitama and Gaara get knocked away, right?
Yeah.
And they get knocked away from the blast. Would you agree?
From the other end of the blast, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say they get knocked away from the blast, right?
Yeah.
And when they get knocked away, they don't inherently go flying straight, et cetera, et cetera. Let's say there's drop off, whatever the fuck you want to say, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Because stars are 5 light years apart on average from each other, right? For them to even be seeing stars, for stars to be depicted within instance, doesn't make any sense. If he was able to destroy stars within 5 light years of each other continuously, that means he's covering multiple light years of distance with just the blast, and we're still seeing stars within this radius. So there's a huge contradiction here. They're 5 light years away from each other.
Saitama. Wait. I'm confused. Are you saying Saitama is 5 light years away, or are you saying the stars are 5?
Saitama and Gaara are 440.17 million miles away from Earth because they're on Jupiter. They're near Jupiter, right?
Yes.
The blast, if you use your argument and you think it even wiped away these stars, right? Those stars are within 5 light years of each other, each star.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so there's no reason why we should see stars at all because they're within 5 light years of each other. And using your argument, you would have destroyed hundreds to thousands of stars. You want to count every single fucking dot on that panel, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that he's covering that many light years within a radius, there should be no stars shown within the angle when they go to Io or Jupiter.
Why would that be the case?
Because they got knocked in the direction of the blast. So the blast would took out multiple light years worth of distance. Why are we seeing stars here if they took out multiple light years? And there's 440 million miles is millions of times and millions and millions and millions of times less than it is 5 light years. See my point? Like, there's a huge difference between even just a light year and millions of miles is significantly, like, astronomically high.
300. Oh yeah, that's what I was arguing. So basically, right there's 300, like, right, there's 360 degrees within space, right? Like, would you agree? Like, you can see 360 degrees around you.
Yeah. So let's say, so let's take your argument, right? 360 degrees in space. When the shot that we see, it on panel, it covers the entire thing, covers the entire moon of Io, and Jupiter in the background. And then there's a massive star. There's a massive star, which makes it even worse, which really shits on the argument because if there's a massive star, it's like a supercluster, or it's like a star that big, the distance would be way greater than 5 light years because it has to be, otherwise it would collide and explode and create a chain effect of just star collisions and supernovas. So the fact that that star even exists suggests that it's way greater. And if you have 5 light years, you were to like do the 360 argument, that means the stars have to be spread up enough to be able to cover that distance. And because our solar system isn't that big for us to even see a star, it would have to be spread out. So there's already a contradiction here. You can't argue a 360 argument if the stars need to be in that spot for the solar system to function. Otherwise, we would see a chain effect of stars exploding all around us because they would spiral into control from the natural GB of the solar system.
So stars still affect each other like 5 light years away, right?
Huh?
Stars still affect each other even like 5 light years away.
Yeah, because there's gravity between those stars.
There's okay.
Yeah, that. Why do you
But
think? Like, it's like the equivalent to say, why do you think in space, like stars never touch?
well,
Or
that's not like you do realize this is fiction. Like obviously, fucking creator doesn't know science.
horrible
No,
argument.
no, 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 no. I'll get into it, right?
You're gonna
Because you.
argue. Wait. If you're gonna argue an appeal to reality argument here, it's horrible to do when you're arguing for counts because you're really trying to specify or get a distinction or a quantifiable numerical value for the distance of something or the time of something or how much energy something is exerted. So you're applying real life physics here, but then you're nitpicking when and not to apply it, meaning that you're cherry picking upon the initial argument. So you can't say, oh, it's different here if there's a is if you have a character like Noel from Black Clover or somebody, and you're like, well, in real life, water can't move at the speed of light, but Noel shoots fucking water beams that move at like massively faster than light speeds or FTL speeds or relativistic speeds, however fast you think she is. So there's like a contradiction, but here's just no contradiction, et cetera, et cetera. And the calcs that are being used are basing stuff off of real life because they're basing off of red dwarf stars, they're basing off of stars, GBT, gravitational binding energy, they're basing off of everything within our solar system.
Uh,
you,
you would say that they're 5 light years away, right?
Yeah, that's my point. That like where you just got like where you just read
No, no,
that,
no,
like
no,
I think it's stupid. That's what I'm saying. How are you gonna say what happened to the stars? Right, you're questioning. That's what I'm saying. What happened to the stars? Why are the stars being here within perspective? If within 5 light years they need to be clear of each other, otherwise we have star collisions, etc., etc. Like even a supernova, sometimes scientifically, when you have a supernova causes a collision of multiple other stars. Sometimes it causes a chain effect until it stops or dissipates. It is and completely depends on the size of the star. Um, but that only happens again once in a while because it takes like thousands of years, hundreds of years, etc., millions of years. My fault, not thousands. But in this case, again, it just doesn't work because the whole space there that should be missing isn't acting. It's not activating the same. So either the stars aren't functioning the same, and if the stars aren't functioning the same, that makes us question the GBE of the star, how we're calculating the formula, et cetera, et cetera. If the star is significantly smaller, if the gravity works different in One Punch Man, it makes us equivocate all these things to where it's just super, super fallible and fallacious to make a claim on anything that regards that panel. The only thing that you could say is it travels set distance, but then it's contradicted right after. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm just. Yeah. Ban the motherfucker. What's his name? Yeah, Kusamak, whatever the fuck his name is, whatever. Ban the motherfucker with the Luffy PFP.
It's oddly specific.
Yeah, bro. I'm fucking about to concede because I can't focus straight. I'm trying to focus on it.
Don't look at general, bro. Bro, no excuses, bro. We talked about this. Don't look at general.
I don't. Bro, he got my.
Click your phone on your computer, zoom in on the VC so you can only see the VC. Ignore chat.
See, there's a difference because, like, if I get fucking swatted, there's a huge difference there.
Who's gonna swat you, bro?
The dude who has my fucking address. What the fuck?
Where's their address, bro? Give me their app.
Alright, I got you. I'll send it DMs. Yeah.
I don't want there to be any hold up. There, he's banned.
W. He'll probably come back with an alt account or some shit like that.
Okay, so continue. So I'm kind of getting like again, I'm getting bored. I'm kind of ready to wrap it up. Do you have anything else?
Okay. So, can you fucking repeat your argument again? Sorry, like I was kind of focused on, my just I'm so bad.
You basically agreed to the notion that it doesn't make sense for us to even you said it verbatim for the OPC that it doesn't make sense why are there stars there because stars are within 5 light years of each other. If they need 5 light years of clearance, the 360 argument doesn't work because this hole here that has hundreds to thousands of stars, that means there's tons of light years missing. which means that stars need to be able to function, so everything would swing out of proportion and actually collapse within each other. Then if you use an appeal to reality argument, say, well, it's fiction, maybe that just doesn't happen here. Well, then that also negates the calc, because how do you know something is the case? It's not a contradiction argument. It's not simply that something like applies differently here. It's just simply that there is, again, either you take it as an art issue, it was hyped up, it's contradicted, it's too fallacious, whatever it is, the feed is inscalable. And then we went on earlier during the debate. This was just an argument you wanted me to explain to you that I said if you even got there. So like again, like more so me informing you. But we kind of already moved past the part initially where this isn't a galaxy level feat, which is the premise of the debate. It's not a galaxy level at all. It's not even solar. But
Okay, so I would say that like you know like there's some things that obviously don't apply to the stars in the One Punch Man world, because obviously if the stars were like from the beam, right, that they were pushed, they were teleported, they were fucking destroyed, whatever the fuck happened, right? It wouldn't show it, you know, because light take what the fuck you said 5 light years.
I don't know where you're getting that from.
You don't know how light works? What?
That's all I said. I said I know where you're getting it from, that they don't function the same way. I think they do. I think the sun is always on One Punch Man unless it's nighttime or some scenario, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, some properties. I think some properties like ignore.
So my point is that stars have already shown the functionality within the One Punch Man world, that they work like normal stars. There's no contradiction here. The only contradiction that's ever been shown is the contradiction right here. So it's clearly that this speech just doesn't scale and it's a blatant contradiction.
Wait, hold up. So, if you're arguing that the stars weren't destroyed, because if they were, it would throw off the gravitational bounding energy, right?
That, but not necessarily. It's just that if the stars were destroyed, we wouldn't see stars within this panel of Jupiter and Io. There would be no stars within the panel.
There would be. So
bro, I'm not saying rocket science here, bro. I'm just saying there'd be no stars within the panel of Jupiter and Io, bro. Like,
okay, so wait, well, what happened to the stars then?
That's my thing. That's not my argument to prove. That's the person who's arguing for it to be whatever level you think it is. That's my point. My point is that there's a blatant contradiction, because stars are popping up despite them being destroyed within 5 light years of each other. Hundreds of stars will be hundreds of light years within us, apart from each other. That just makes literally no sense for you to see stars there. Massive contradiction. That's why whenever I was arguing the whole ardent illustration, it wasn't that, oh my god, Murata is darker than the panels. I don't know what Chiaroscuro is. I literally draw. Like, I know what Chiaroscuro is, but that's not the point. The point of it is that you have a case here where it's blatantly contradicted, because we see stars from this atmosphere and they're not being shown. But again, it's like I'm kind of getting repetitive and like I'm getting bored, so I'm kind of ready to wrap it up. To be honest.
Okay. But before that, right? So I'm not gonna lie, I didn't understand what the fuck you were saying. Like, I had to rewatch your shit several times to like actually get what you're saying, and like apparently I still misinterpret it. Like, I don't really know.
I mean, I think that should, again, that goes to my point. And to like anyone else listening to this and call, I've already said this. I hate when anyone in the community or the debate community uses calcs, and I don't think anyone should ever agree with a calc if you don't know how to calculate shit yourself.
I mean, I've calculated.
Well, even if you have, when it comes to astronomy, science, joules, calcs, or whatever, if you can't calc, do not go on VSBW or whatever website, or like agree with information or say this is something level. If you can't actually prove it yourself, you know you're not the best at it, or agree with another person. Like, I would never agree with another person's calc if I can't even get a metric or know how to do something.
Okay,
that's just dick eating, like, completely.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I have a question. You know Toji from Jujutsu Kaisen, right?
Sure.
So I'm just saying, how do you feel about my calc? I got into 7'5" low ball.
Bro.
But I was using fucking Pythagorean theorem and shit, trying to like calculate the fucking distance between them.
Okay,
like,
let's wrap this up. Before we get into that, let's wrap this up, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, we can go to fucking what the fuck are they called? Fucking
conclusions.
Yeah, conclusions. But last time I did this shit, I accidentally set contentions and I accidentally conceded.
Okay. Sure. I think I won. You can say whatever you want to say.
Oh, okay. I think I won too.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can unmute.
Yeah, 6. How do you?
Well, one of you didn't win.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Everybody.
Please, I have so much to lose.
Oh
Please,
god.
no. I need
The
to
lights
win.
lost.
Please.
The lights lost
My
it.
reputation is down the drain. Please, no. Please don't tell me.
Oh, Kruos. What
I'm
do we sell?
gonna put my Cash App in chat. Whoever wants to donate for the winner. No, but I think it's pretty obvious Kruos won.
Yeah, I think the lights won too. Honestly, the lights.
What? Kruos won? No way.
Yeah, bro. I
Honestly,
mean, bro,
Gross.
like 90% of the debate, I was going Artkage,